He was very wobbly in the first 2 rounds, unlike Chopra. Nadeem got himself out of jail with an 85-metre throw in the 3rd round of qualifying. Chopra was one and done, 84 3/4. Instagram following up to 9 million after winning the Olympic title here in Tokyo. Silver last year. He is India's first world champion. So we wait to see. And then how good. What a season. What a couple of seasons for Bhattachleti. Start of the 5,000. She's so good.
And I love the focus from Nadia Bhattachleti on this championships. Her first 10,000 of the year was the 10,000 metres here, and she came back with a silver medal amongst some really talented women that have been running fantastic times through the year. And there's a couple of them, Beatrice Chebet and Faith Kipyegon. Maybe that's it. We're friends until, what is it, local time, 7 p.m. After that, we've got to go to battle, because these two, we saw pictures of Beatrice Chebet sobbing her eyes out in the stand when Faith Kipyegon won her 4th title in the 1,500 metres. Faith Kipyegon's the defending champion in this 5,000. Just the heats tonight, of course, but as we look towards that final, it could be a brilliant race.
It really is going to be phenomenal, and Gudaf Segei's in there as well. Segei's 2nd on the all-time list. Chebet is the world record holder, the only woman to have gone inside 14. It's good to see Segei smiling. She's a very intense character, and I know she was delighted in the end with the bronze medal in the 10,000 metres. She worked so hard for that. That's why it's so good. You've got the 10,000 coming down to 5 and the 1,500 runners going up. Keely Hodgkinson bidding for the only title missing from her global collection, the Olympic champion, twice a world silver. She's done so much at the age of 23. She didn't compete for a year and then blasted that 154.74 favourite for the 800.
No race for over 370 days, and she comes out and runs 2 seconds faster than everybody else. And I think Tsiga Daguma was probably one of the favourites we were looking at for the global title here after her silver medal in Paris. But unfortunately, with the return of Keely Hodgkinson, it's bumped Daguma off that favourite spot, and she's going to have her work cut out as we go through the rounds here in the 800 metres.
She is, but I was doing the stats on her. She won 3 Diamond Leagues, and then we haven't seen her for a couple of months. So it's as if we've forgotten about her. Georgia Hunter-Bell, you know Georgia quite well. She came and was a guest on your excellent podcast. Were you surprised that she chose just the 8?
No, I think had the 8 been first, and we're seeing a nice hair flick from Georgia Hunter-Bell there. Had the 8 been first, Georgia would have done both. But she feels her best shot is in the 800, and she didn't want to take anything away from her performance in that shorter event by taking part in that 1,500 at the first half of the championships.
And we didn't see Mary Mora there. It hasn't been a great season for Mora, but she did run an excellent split in the mixed relay before the Kenyans got disqualified. Something like 49.81. She cannot be ruled out. She's got maverick tactics. Anyway, we'll get to the women's 8. We're about to crack on with the first of 2 heats in the women's 5,000 metres. No time qualifiers, and my goodness me, did that cause some drama earlier on with the steeplechase qualifiers. Big field here, 20 going in the first, 20 going in the second, and it's the top 8 who will advance. Van der Last, the World Athletics Refugee Team athletes. Maria Prito, national champion over the 10,000. Yamamoto will get a nice cheer from the crowd, 3rd in the Asian Championships. Bacard of Germany. Elise Cranny, 13th in the 10,000. He of China, Asian silver indoors earlier this year. Japanese in the crowd getting very excited. Melissa Courtney-Bryan on that back row, Commonwealth bronze. Bhattachleti on the podium in the 10,000 last year and this year. Hannah Nuttall. Debut Stafford, we've already seen her make the final of the 1,500. Bilane won the Diamond League final, although it didn't look like it because she got her bibs mixed up. Nozomi Tanaka, 3 times she's finished 8th in global finals. Margaret Akido is not that well known, the Kenyan, but she's based here in Japan, so she'll cope with the conditions. Costa, a European indoor medalist. Burka Halon's the world junior champion from a couple of years ago over the 15. And then the seemingly unbeatable Beatrice Chebet, world record holder, Olympic champion. Shelby Houlihan back after an enforced absence, and then Joy Cheptoyek of Uganda on the inside. An excellent run for 7th in the 10,000 metres. So we'll have plenty of time to dissect the qualities here, but this has got the makings. If all the main protagonists get there, it's got the makings of an unbelievable final. Top 8 from this will be in it. So our first track action on a thrilling Thursday night is the opening heat of the women's 5,000 metres. Looks like Debut Stafford has decided she wants to turn this into an honest pace. I mean, I just don't know. I'm just watching for Beatrice Chebet. She's just on the very extreme left of your picture. I just don't know how you go about working out how to beat Beatrice Chebet. She's got great tactics. She can go out hard because no one's as fast as she is, because she's the world record holder, or she can burn it up in the last 200 metres. She is the complete package as a distance runner.
But she's going up against a woman that's run 3:48 for 1,500 metres. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves, because the final has got to be qualified. You've got to make that final. But I don't know. You've got to be impressed by Nadia Batocletti's ability to stick with Beatrice Chebet. And Batocletti has made big improvements this year, down to 3:58. But that's still 10 seconds slower than Faith Kipyegon's been over 1,500 metres. So I think if Kipyegon is with Chebet, based on the evidence from that 10,000, then I don't think we can assume that Chebet will be able to kick with Kipyegon.
So does that lead us to believe, we got Japan 1 and 2, there's such a culture for distance running in Japan, and they absolutely love front running. It's Yamamoto leading with Tanaka tucked in, and Batocletti, such a sensible, really sharp tactical racer. But if that scenario unfolds, Chebet knows that she can't outkick Faith Kipyegon. Surely that would lead us to think that the pace will be very fast in the final, because what Faith Kipyegon can't do is, or well, we don't think yet, is run inside 14 minutes, and Chebet can.
I think you do have to take it. It has to be fast. If that men's 1,500 has taught us anything from last night, you have to make it quick if you want those ranked better coming into his championships to be at the top of the pile. Jimmy Gressier, another wonderful example in the men's 10,000. Slow it down, it gets very unpredictable. And I think perhaps Agnes Ngetic, who goes in the next heat, the Kenyan athlete, she's one of the ones you might look at to push the pace. Maybe Gudaf Segai as well, but they're just going to have to work their way through these heats. But I think Gudaf Segai might push it a bit if Ngetic doesn't, but it's going to be really important that all the athletes get their tactics right to make that final, and then once they're in it, to get the best result they can.
Well, it'll be a cracker, and it's pretty much single file. I think it's only the refugee athletic scholar who won a scholarship from the IOC, Abagoji. She's just off the back. So 2:57 at 1,000 metres. So that's just inside, well, it's just inside 14:50. So it's a decent pace. Good work from Yamamoto and Tanaka. Tanaka's a really popular athlete here. She made a brilliant run in the 1,500. She was 8th here in the Olympic final. 8th in the 5,000 in Budapest. And 8th in the world indoors last year. Van der Lest trying to move wide on the outside. And there is the refugee team athlete, coached by Janet Chepkoskai, actually, the brilliant Kenyan 800 metre runner. So she's off the back, but Yamamoto cracking on. I really like what Batocletti's done, Hannah, because I think what we're getting away from, and Paula Radcliffe was helpful for this from a British-European point of view as well, it's not true that Europeans and Western athletes can't compete against the might of the East Africans. They can, and Batocletti proves it. She's a really important figure for European distance running.
There's smatterings of hope. You see some athletes get themselves involved. Of course, I mentioned him already, but Gressier on the men's side, what he did. Even Ingebrigtsen on the men's side before that, with what he did in the 5,000. You just need those glimmers of hope. And for athletes, if you see someone from your own nation or a country near yours, and we see that across athletics, if you see an athlete that has achieved something wonderful and you realise, they've got 2 arms, 2 legs, they're only from just over there. We're going to see it in the men's javelin tonight, an event that was dominated dominated by the Eastern Europeans, and then suddenly it's become global because of some wonderful men, particularly Eunice Jaeger, who's here tonight. What they achieve in sort of normalising and making it seem achievable is brilliant. Battlecletti for the women at the moment is a phenomenal example of the fact that anyone can mix it with these athletes, and great to see Tanaka and Yamamoto as well not scared to go out here and run a good, decent effort.
Great running at the moment. Maureen Costa's been around a while, European indoor silver way back 10 years ago. She's running in 5th place at the moment. Chebet's 4th, and then you've got Battlecletti behind the voluntary pacemakers. Chepchoyak of Uganda's in that group. Georgie Griffith, Oceanian record holder over the 3,000. It's getting a little bit bunched, so I would rather suspect that they might have dropped this pace a little bit. They were on course for about high 1440s after the first kilometre in 2:57. Shelby Houlihan, world indoor silver this year in Nanjing. She was 11th in the Olympic final way back in Rio, so the American just coming up onto the Ugandan's shoulder. So it's a solid pace at the moment, but it's not spectacular, which is why most of the field are still in touch. But I think it's quite noticeable here that Battlecletti, all being well, will be one of the favourites for a medal, and she's following the Japanese very closely, and so too the world record holder and Olympic champion Beatrice Chebet. They're paying attention here because there are no time qualifiers. Also interesting that the two Ethiopians are side by side in the middle of the pack. Halom, the world junior champion a couple of years ago over the 15, and then Fante Belena, who was originally listed as having finished 5th, I think, in the Diamond League final because she put the wrong bib on.
Which, to me, for a couple of weeks seemed bonkers until I remembered the Amharic alphabet is different. And, would I be able to pick up a Japanese version of my name here and know it from yours? I wouldn't. So initially it seemed totally bonkers, but actually when I thought about it, it was unfortunate, and I was glad that Belene got awarded the win after all, because they could have complicated things by sort of saying that you disqualified, you ran with the wrong bib or anything like that, and there was some great common sense there in that Diamond League final to give Belene the win, because that is an important step in her career. To have that on her CV is going to be important for getting other racing opportunities.
Oh, that would have been savage. Not to mention, probably, what was it, $50,000? That would have been brutal for an honest mistake. So the two Ethiopians are in the middle of the pack. Georgie Griffith just starting to move up. She's just on the left of picture, coming up behind Cheptoyek of Uganda, 6th in the World 5K Championships, the Ugandan. Top 8. And little by little, we're whittling our way through. 5:59 at 2K. So yeah, we're still on for about 14:50. And how about this? Tanaka wearing 8 with her hip sticker, and 8th is where she's finished 3 times globally. I love watching her because she's a really gutsy athlete, and all of a sudden, where her teammate has drifted back, Tanaka has decided, right, I can't sprint, I can't out-sprint a woman who's run 13:58 or whatever it was, but I'm going to grind my way into the final. Good on her.
No, Nozomi Tanaka first came on my radar during the Tokyo Olympics in this stadium when she front ran a Japanese national record to make the final. She ran 3:59 all on her own to qualify, and it was a fantastic run whenever that was, 4 years ago now. And I think she would have been disappointed not to make that final in the 1500 metres and not to really kind of show her true form. So I think tonight for Tanaka will be very much about ensuring she does everything she can. That's the fastest kilometre we've seen tonight, 2:57. And perhaps there was a bit of teamwork there with Yamamoto just saying, I'll give you a good first 2 kilometres. And from there, Nozomi Tanaka, it's all yours. And Tanaka is whittling this group down. There's still way more than the 8 that would go through to the final, but she's going to hopefully just drop a few athletes off the back of this group, one by one.
Well, what's interesting is that the two Ethiopians have suddenly attached themselves to this leading train. The field has been completely split. So brave from Tanaka, fantastic. Van der Lust is just about hanging on at the back, but She's doing a good job here because Tanaka knows she can't out-sprint the likes of Chebet or Batacleti, and probably the two Ethiopians as well. So she needs this group to go down to 8, and the crowd in the stadium are willing her on. It's a great atmosphere here in Tokyo. They were so desperately disappointed to not be allowed in the stadium because we were behind closed doors here for the Olympics 4 years ago. When you see her glancing up, she's looking at the scoreboard at the end of the stadium, which gives her a good glimpse as to who's close by, and we can see by the size of that group, Nuttall just at the back, and as I mentioned, Van der Elst just hanging on. She needs to get this group down, Tanaka, because she knows that there are very fast finishers behind her, but this is starting to spread out now. This is a really brave bid to run her way into the final.
Well, they've dropped off the back of this group Margaret Akido of Kenya, who's a 14:30 woman, and they're just starting to nudge underneath 15-minute pace, and it has got a little bit cooler tonight, which is fantastic, but it's still very warm. But for Akida to be dropped off the back of this group when the likes of Houlihan, Costa, Hannah Nuttall, Van der Elst, Elise Cranny still just about holding on to this pack. It's starting to get really serious now from Tanaka. I'd be interested to see what this 4th kilometre is. I just hope Nozomi Tanaka hasn't run the legs off herself. I think she's good in these conditions. She lives and trains here, so the heat and the humidity. Nozomi Tanaka, but 15-minute pace running from the front isn't easy for anyone.
Costa's in 8th at the moment, and she's a little way isolated, although now, as I say that, she comes up onto the shoulder of one of the Ethiopians who's starting to struggle. So good running by the 33-year-old Dutch woman who was 12th in the final 2 years ago in Budapest. Houlihan running well, national record holder over the 1500. And it's Berke Hailom who's struggling a little bit, the world junior champion from Ethiopia, now just going through picture. So we do have a lead 8. Now Tanaka just needs to keep this going. In fact, that group has now become 9. So one of these women is going to miss out. Look at this run from Costa, just out of picture, coming through fantastically well here. Maybe she too is sensing that there's a burn-up coming, and she wants to make sure that there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 next to her name when she's finished it.
It was a good move starting there from Cheptoyek as well, the Ugandan moving around the outside with 2 laps to go. Costa, for me, Rob, is one of those athletes that she's been around a long time, but the years she's missed with injury make me feel like her running age isn't that old. She actually hasn't been able to do that many full seasons, and she's very experienced, but it's great to see her involved. We haven't got Sifan Hassan here, but to have another Dutch woman in Maureen Costa mixing it up the front here. And Tanaka, it was a tiny bit faster for that 4th kilometre, but the cumulative fatigue in these conditions I think makes it worth more than the 2:56 that it was. And Tanaka is just trying to push and push and push, and they're perhaps just dropping Hannah Nuttall and Berke Hailom off the back of this group, which is good news for the athletes that have made the break.
Well, Hannah Nuttall was very brave because she was the one who bridged the gap, and she's trying to run her way into the final. She's in 8th place, and Hailom has been dropped. So we do now have a group of 8, and we've swapped Hailom out of the top 8, Hannah Nuttall at the back of that group into it. She's in 8th as they come round with 1 lap to go. The noise is deafening in the stadium. It's not the final, it's the first heat of the women's 5,000, but the brave front running from Nozomi Tanaka has ignited the crowd. She leads a compact group of 8. Berke Hailom is in 9th, and she's going backwards quickly. So if they all stay on their feet, these will be the 8 to make the final from this group. Hannah Nuttall running really well, now coming through on the inside with the Ugandan Cheptoyek having to hang on a little bit at the back. Look at this from Maureen Costa. Tanaka still looking comfortable. Cheptoyek has been dropped, and we'll just need to pay attention to make sure Hailom doesn't catch her. Costa drifting towards the outside of lane 1. It looked like she may have left a gap on the inside, but Beatrice Chebet just wanting to make absolutely sure that she sends a message: I am the woman to beat. The Olympic champion coasts home. Batacleti is there, so too Houlihan, Costa, Tanaka to the roar of the crowd. It's Belene of Ethiopia, Hannah Nuttall, great running, and Cheptoyek did hang on from Hailom for the 8th spot for Uganda. And they've got Tanaka to thank for that. It was a lot less dramatic than it could have been on the last lap, because she took the bull by the horns, set a great pace, and she's been rewarded with a place in the final. Great race.
And pretty smart running there from Ugandan. Cheptoyek, I think she was struggling, she was tired, but she realised she had a big gap behind her. Look at that smile for Maureen Costa. That woman, as you said, Rob, she has been around a long time, but I do think those years through injury have just curtailed sort of her ability to show her worth. And there's some big names further down the field that haven't made the cut. Berke Hailom, Elise Cranny, Gabriella Debus Stafford, who made the 1500 metre final, perhaps a step too far for her on her comeback season. Margaret Akito, 1430 woman. There's such a difference, though, between those pace-made races on the Diamond League circuit and these finals. It was a swift last 1,000 metres, down towards about 240, 245 for that last one.
Yamamoto definitely played her part there in helping her younger teammate. Crowd are responding because these images are on the big screen. And well done to Farida Amaroje, the athlete refugee team. She got a scholarship to train in France. Wonderful that she has completed her World Championship heat. So we will see Tanaka in the final, along with the gold and silver medalists from the 10,000 metres. Batacleti, Beatrice Chebet, a certain Faith Kipyegon goes in the second, but Chebet's going to take some stopping, Hannah.
And I just want to say, as we look at this replay here, Shelby Houlihan looked absolutely fine. I think, we were concentrating on Tanaka and whether she could be rewarded for that front-running effort, and Batacleti we were expecting to look good. But, outside of the likes of Chebet, Batacleti, Costa looked pretty tired, but Shelby Houlihan actually looked pretty smooth there, and she made all the moves she had to and no more, and looked like she definitely could have gone deeper if she had to.
Very experienced athlete. That's Berke Hailom, who sadly has missed out. Very hot and sticky. Batacleti. Well, she's getting used to these now. Getting ready to do a live interview with Italy. Big star now, very big star in the Italian team. Well done to Hannah Nuttall. She ran well.
And that's the first of the 5,000 metre heats. We will have another one after that. We're going to get going with some of our field action in the next couple of minutes before we go back for 6 races of the women's 800 metres, and then some 200 metre semi-finals, 800 semi-finals for the men, and then those 2 brilliant finals for over 400 metres for both the men and the women.
Great drama to come on the track. Great drama about to unfold on the infield, with 12 giants of the sport limbering up for an epic javelin final. And this really could be an absolute cracker. As Hannah was saying, the spread of nations now is brilliant. It's truly global in this event. Gone are the days of just purely East European domination. Although, as I say that, Julienne Weber, one of the favourites for a medal, European champion. How about this? 4th here in Tokyo, 4th in Eugene, 4th in Budapest. Surely this time, surely. Anderson Peters, a monster 89-metre throw to qualify, bidding to join Jan Zalesny as a 3-time world javelin champion. The Grenadian looking very, very good in qualification. Arshad Nadeem broke Indian hearts, beating Neeraj Chopra last year, but he's had surgery this year. Pretty average throws in the first 2 rounds, but nailed an 85-metre throw in the 3rd. Chopra, Olympic champion here 4 years ago. He's a defending world champion, but silver behind Nadeem last year. Julius Yago, 10 years since he launched a massive throw of 92 metres to become champion. The Kenyan has legendary status. Curtis Thompson's had a couple of 87-metre throws this year, one in March and one last month. He's a Pan American champion. NACAC win as well midway through August. Cameron McIntyre, the young Australian, he had a PB to qualify. Commonwealth Games finalist and twice an Oceanian silver medalist. Looks ready to deliver again. He wasn't the only one to have a PB in qualifying. David Wegner threw a massive PB, nearly 2 metres to his mark. Came 9th 2 years ago in Budapest, hoping to upgrade to the top 8. Sachin Yadav, another recruit from the world of cricket. He was a cricketer till he was 19, and then the rest, as they say, is history. Asian Championship silver this year. Rumesh Partharaj, the first Sri Lankan ever to make a World Championship final. Just off the podium in the Asian Champs earlier this year. In cracking PB shape, he's over 86 metres. 12 men, by the way, this year have thrown over 85.50. Jakub Vadlic, Olympic silver here 4 years ago, silver in London, bronze in Eugene, bronze in Budapest. He so often saves his best for the big stage. The Czechia athlete looks relaxed and ready. And is it really 13 years since this guy won the Olympic title? It is. Followed it up with a bronze in Rio, but he's never fared better than 11th in the World Championship. Sean Walcott hoping to change that outcome here. He has thrown 86 metres this year, so a great final to come. Slightly different rules. We're down to 10 for the second half of the competition, not 8. We go down to 8 for the 5th round, and only the best 6 will go in reverse order for a 6th concluding round. And we've got this new tweak where rather than having the throwers coming in a random order at the beginning of the first round, they put the big hitters out right at the very beginning, just to whet our appetite for the drama to come. So Weber, he's been an absolute beast this season. 3 throws over 90 metres. 91 metres in Doha at the very beginning of the Diamond League season, 91 metres in Zurich at the very end. He looked a tiny bit wobbly early on in qualification yesterday, but then came through in fine style. He is the world leader. He is desperate for a global medal. He's won the European title, but he's been agonisingly close to multiple world podiums and the Olympic podium. Right, what do we get? What do we get? What do we get? Okay. I thought for a minute we were about to be greeted by a near 90-metre opener. Shy of the 85-metre board, so you'd say it was a solid rather than spectacular opener for the German.
I think the javelin is something, it's so important to be loose. If you lose sort of the total range in your shoulders and your arms, you're just giving metres away there. You need to stay loose, get the javelin as far back as you can and whip it through. Any tension in the chain, you know, from your foot to the tip of your finger, it just totally disrupts that. And if you're ever going to feel tension, it's going to be in the opening round of a World Championships.
Anderson Peters, a monstrous 89-metre throw in qualifying. He's won this title twice, back-to-back, Doha and Eugene. The Grenadian is a huge character, and that is better than we've seen from Weber. I really love the smile he wears when he competes. He and Karani James have been absolute stalwarts and standard bearers of Grenadian athletics. We've had some good multi-eventers and 400-metre runners. You've got the likes